Beep beep. Beep beep. Beep beep. Okay. 15 seconds in, I'm sure 75% of viewers probably just switched to another video after starting off with something like that. Boop boop boop. Anyways, this is actually take 3. I opened this up, and here's the wrapper. And I didn't know. I forgot to press the record button, so I was like spending like 3 minutes just talking, and just starting to open this thing up, and it was like, oops, brains. And then the second time, I didn't even get to open this up. The second take, and the phone rang. So this is the third take, and it was factory sealed. I bought this for $2 at Duncansville Antique Depot, and that was over a year ago, I believe. They had a bunch of these small little packs of cards. Fleer and Donruss came out with a whole bunch of these. I'm thinking they started in '85, but it may go date back to '84. I'm really not sure when they started doing these. They came in these packages that look like a pack of playing cards. And I think Fleer and Donruss may have produced as much as maybe 6, 7, or 8 of these each year during the late '80s. Each one of them made 6 or 7 or 8 of them, and they sort of fizzled out in the early '90s. And I think Topps may have made a few too, but Topps tended to make these boxes for like other companies to sell at their stores. I'm trying to think of one off the top of my head. I think they may have been involved with Kmart and Ralston Purina or some other companies. I'm not sure which. Anyway, let's have a look at them. These were factory sealed during take 1, but they are no longer factory sealed, and they have this nice lip on them right here and this little notch here, so you can easily pull them out without any trouble. This is called 1987 Limited Edition Fleer Major League Baseball's Best Sluggers vs. Pitchers logo stickers and trading cards, of which there are 6 stickers and 44 trading cards, and that is a mouthful, and most catalogs just list this as 1987 Fleer Sluggers/Pitchers, just to make it easy on describing it. And here is a checklist of what is in the set, and it is made up of I guess what they think were the best sluggers and best pitchers from 1987 or the previous year, 1986. So it starts off with some stickers. We have Rangers and Phillies, Expos, Orioles, Twins, Yankees, Brewers, and Padres. And here's what they look like. It's kind of got, instead of the usual lighter blue that was part of the 1987 Fleer, I think was that light sort of it was a different kind of shade of blue. It was sort of like this, but lighter, I think. These are in a red, white, and blue theme, sort of like July 4. Maybe they came out around that time, not really sure. I don't know how these were distributed to the public. I don't know if you had to send in like proofs of purchase to Fleer and they would mail these to you, or these were things you could pick up in a store. I'm just not sure about that. Here's Wally Joyner, and the backs look like this. And they got his career numbers. So in a way, this is close to a possible rookie card for him. I don't think technically it is. There's Pete Incaviglia. You can see they are off-center. This border is a lot wider than this one. This looks a little more narrower down here than here, and this was sort of common with cards back then. Ted Higuera, who was a great pitcher for the Brewers. Tom Hankey, a name you don't hear much often these days. He was one of the better relief pitchers from back in that era, and I don't think he pitched long enough to put up big career numbers, but he was a dominant reliever back in the day. There's Hall of Famer Ricky Henderson, Hall of Famer Tony Gwynn, Pedro Guerrero, Dwight Gooden. John Franco, a name we don't hear very often these days. He was one of the better reliever pitchers back in the day. Later pitched with the Mets. Don't remember what his career numbers were, but he could possibly be a possible Hall of Fame candidate down the road by maybe one of the veterans committees. I think, back in the day, there were a number of relief pitchers that accumulated a decent amount of numbers by the time they made it into the 90s, but they kind of got overshadowed later on with Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman, and so these pitchers that ended up with 350 career saves going up into the low 400s were kind of forgotten about, and John Franco was one of them. I don't remember how many career saves he had, but he was definitely one of the top relievers back then. There's Sid Fernandez, Hall of Famer Andre Dawson, Eric Davis, Roger Clemens, Jack Clark. Can't really tell if he's sporting a unibrow there. The shadow of his helmet is kind of blocking that. He's notorious for almost having a unibrow to sometimes having it and sometimes not. So partway through the season, he must have taken care of it. Not sure what Jose Canseco is doing here. Mind melding with a bat, I presume. Ivan Calderon, Hall of Famer George Brett, Sid Bream, Hall of Famer Wade Boggs, George Bell, Jesse Barfield, Kevin Bass, Mike Witt, Fernando Valenzuela, Pat Tabler, Rick Sutcliffe, Darryl Strawberry, Kevin Seitzer. Mike Scott had some pretty good numbers back then. I think if he hadn't succumbed to injuries, he might have put together a Hall of Fame career. Hall of Famer Mike Schmidt, Brett Saberhagen, Cal Ripken Jr., Dave Righetti, Jeff Reardon sporting a pretty immense beard, I guess you could. It looks really dense. It looks like you could get a lot of food stuck in that. Like John Franco, Jeff Reardon was one of the top relievers back in the 80s going into the 90s, and I think when he retired, he was in the top 5. I'd have to look this up, but I'm pretty sure he was in the top 5 of career saves leaders. So I think he's probably a pretty good candidate for the Hall of Fame too, and I don't know if he's going to get looked over. The way I would argue this is, yeah, you got Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman, but they came after Jeff Reardon, Bruce Sutter, Rich Gossage, and pitchers like that. These were dominant relief pitchers back in the 80s, and relief pitching back then was a bit different than it is now. They tended to pitch more than just to 3 batters or 1 batter or 2 batters. A lot of them put in 2, possibly 3 innings to get a save. You could see it in their stats from the 80s. They would pitch in like maybe 60 games and pull out like 110 innings, which is very uncommon for bullpen closers these days. So during Jeff Reardon's contemporary era, he was one of the top relief pitchers, and I think that should be enough for possible Hall of Fame conclusion. It's in the overall grand scheme, years later, Mariano Rivera and Trevor Hoffman, pushed that career saves mark way out there, way beyond those. But we have put Bruce Sutter and Rich Gossage in the Hall of Fame, and deservedly so. But following their careers, they were followed up by pitchers like Jeff Reardon, Tom Henke, John Franco, Bobby Thigpen, and a few others. But out of those, Jeff Reardon was one that ended with a lot of saves in his career at that time period. So that was my argument for that. You could take that with a grain of salt. I'm pretty sure baseball writers have all forgotten about Jeff Reardon, but maybe the Veterans Committee will look at him somewhere down the road and maybe he'll get in. Tim Raines, he's a Hall of Famer, and Kirby Puckett is, and there's Ken Phelps. Dave Parker's another possible candidate. I think hopefully someday they'll look at putting in the Hall. Same with Dale Murphy. I think the thing that was going against Dale Murphy was his last 3, 4, or 5 years. His numbers really kind of tanked. Not sure exactly what happened to him because he put up like the best slugging numbers of the 1980s. Maybe Mike Schmidt might have been better, but I don't know. The two of them were neck and neck with those numbers. So I mean, Dale Murphy should be in there, or he should have been a long time ago, in my opinion. Jack Morris, Hall of Famer there. Mark McGwire, not sure if he'll ever make it into the Hall based on some decisions he made in the past involving, I'm not sure what he was taking. Was it human growth hormone? I don't know what it was. I think at the time that was not illegal, but it's a black mark on his record, and I don't know if he'll ever make it into the Hall. It's kind of strange here, 189 average. Oh, so yeah, 1986. So this was all. This is a very early card for him. Don Mattingly, I think Don should be in the Hall of Fame. Joe McGrain and Jeff Leonard finishes this off. So a brief apology for not having this, but it was out of my control because I did something stupid in that I thought I was recording and I actually wasn't, and then I tried to do a second one, but it had since already been opened on the second one, and then phone rang, and it's like, well, I better answer that. That seems important. So yeah, I got this for $2 over a year ago. These you might find on eBay, maybe between like 4 and 10, and possibly even more than that. eBay isn't really like the best place to get these things because I find when they have free shipping, they're charging like 10 or 15, maybe even $20 for one of these, which is ridiculous. When they do offer shipping, they're charging like $5 or $6 for this little box. So the price still comes out to like 10, 15, maybe $20. Whereas in an antique mall, well, all you're spending is the gas to get there, and $2 was a really good deal for this, I thought. I mean, the McGuire card alone, I think, is like a $2 card. So you add that all together, I think I made out pretty good with that. And I have a few more boxes, not of this particular set, but of some more, and I will probably film them somewhere down the road. So no promises, but stay tuned. I can't say that I'm going to do that right away, but I have some other stuff I want to do before that. But I'll try to squeeze a few more of these small ones in between. Thanks so much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think of this product in the comments. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and comment. I appreciate your support. Hope the rest of your day is a good one. Take care, everybody. Beep, beep.